Hello, good morning, everybody. This is Dr. G.K. Kapoor, former professor, IMI, New Delhi. I have been into teaching of business and corporate laws for more than 50 years. I have been recording a series of lectures on contract law in India. Today, I am speaking on a very important topic, a topic which is very dear to the students of business law, and that is restraint of trade. And particularly, I will be touching upon in details the service bonds, service agreements or service bonds, which restrain an employee from taking up an employment with a competitor, sometimes even after he ceases to be in the employment. So let us look into the provisions of the Indian Contract Act as contained in Section 27 with respect to restraint of trade and the exceptions with respect to service agreements. As per Section 27 of the Indian Contract Act, every restraint, whether total or partial, is void ab initio. Law does not allow any contractual fetters, किसी तरह की भी कोई भी restrictions, किसी व्यक्ति के प्रोफेशन चुनने में, वोकेशन चुनने में, बिजनेस चुनने में बिल्कुल ही void ab initio मानी जाएंगे. So therefore, if, say, supposing a father tells his son that I'll fund your MBA education, provided you sign an agreement, that you will not take up. Let me share this screen with you also at the same time. I will fund your MBA education if you promise or you enter into an agreement that on completion of the program, you will not take up employment outside NCR. Section 27 does not uphold this kind of restraint as valid, and the son, on completion of his MBA program, may take up a job anywhere in India or even abroad. So please remember that in India, restraint on one's choice of profession, career, trade, business, calling, vocation, whatever you may call it, whether total or partial, is bad. However, there are certain exceptions to this rule, and these exceptions are contained in Section 27 itself, as well as the Partnership Act 1932, and also there are exceptions as contained in the decisions of the courts. But the restraint in any case, even with respect to these exceptions, shall be upheld as valid only and only if it's reasonable. reasonable in terms of time and local limits. In one very old case law, English case law, Charlesworth versus MacDonald, A had agreed to become an assistant to a physician as well as a surgeon for a period of 3 years, who was practicing at Zanzibar. The appointment was, however, subject to a service bond, which contained a clause against practicing till he served his employer. A left the services within a period of 1 year and began to practice there on his own account, held he could not do so. The restraint was held as a valid restraint. Now, with respect to service bonds, many a time there is a bond amount that if the employee leaves the employment within the stated bond period, then he will have to pay a certain amount called the bond amount to the employer. The courts have held that such bond amounts shall be valid provided it is reasonable. Now, reasonableness will have to be determined. No, even the time period, the bond amount, the reasonableness will have to be determined with respect to many factors, including the time and money spent in training the employee. If, say, supposing a person has been trained just for 1 week and is made to sign an agreement, a bond period to serve the employer for a minimum period of 5 years, no court may hold it justified. But if the employee had been given a very elaborate training on the job, maybe for 6 months, or even sent abroad for a training, 5 years of bond period may be held as justified. So reasonableness will be determined by the court with respect to, as I said, factors like these, and also the time period. I remember at IMI, while I was teaching the executive batch. In the executive batch, we used to have the working executives, particularly in public sector undertakings. The majority of them were from public sector undertakings. Now, I checked up with those people that since they had been sponsored by their employer for taking up that MBA program, they had signed the service bond, but then the period of service bond differed from employer to employer. Whereas certain employers had provided for a reasonable period of 5 years, that after completion of the program, the employee will have to serve the organization for a minimum period of 5 years. Whereas certain other public sector undertakings had provided for a period of 10 years. Now let us see the justification. Now, when a person is sent for further studies, quite naturally, the employer has to engage an alternative. So there is a cost to it. The employee keeps on getting his salary while he is studying that particular program. And plus the efficiency levels of the person who had been working in that position and the employee who might have replaced him may not be the same. So all these taken up means quite a lot of cost to the employer, which may run into quite a few lakhs of rupees. And on top of it, the employer funds the fee payable for that particular course, which in case of IMI was somewhere around 14 lakhs of rupees, if I can correctly remember. So you see, a lot of money is involved. A period of 5 years might well be upheld as absolutely reasonable. And if an employee leaves before the end of 5 years, after completion of his program, he might well be stopped by the court also. But a period of 10 years, I doubt if any court will uphold as justified. These are already middle level managers who are in their late 30s or maybe early 40s. So they do not have a very, very long career opportunities later on. So 10 years period may block their, opportunities elsewhere. So anyways, that is reasonableness has to be construed in terms of so many factors, particularly the time and money spent on the employee. So reasonableness, in any case, courts have held, differs from case to case. There is a popular case of Rajesh Khanna versus United Producers. In this case, United Producers had made Rajesh Khanna signed a service bond for 3 years. This was the period of time when the film stars, they used to be in the service of the particular producer or a group of producers, as in this case of United Producers. So, as the luck would have it, Rajesh Khanna, who was to get 3,000 rupees per month for the first year, 4,000 rupees for the second year, and 5,000 rupees per month for the third year. And then he was to be a free bird thereafter to take up films with any other producer. He, with his very popular film, Aradhana, shot to great popularity and became a superstar overnight. As a result, he started receiving many offers, but The point was that should he jump that bond, which he decided to. So Rajesh Khanna jumped the bond and took up the films with other producers. United Producers filed a suit in the court of law, but unfortunately lost the case. The court said that in the case of a film star, 3 years period is too long a period, because film stars may reach a climax of his career with, say, a few films hitting the box office, being successful at the box office. But then every film does not meet the same amount of success. One or two bad films or failing at the box office, his career curve may fall very sharply. And there have been occasions when producers, they even start asking the advance money back. So the plateau in case of film stars is very, very small. The curve is like bell-shaped, not even bell-shaped, rather it's a curve just touching the top and then may start for falling down. So 3 years period was held to be too long a period, and therefore that bond was struck down. Rajesh Khanna was permitted to take up films with other producers. Now, again, let us note that restraint after termination of employment can never be held as a valid restraint. This has been held by the high courts as well as the Supreme Court in Brahmaputra Tea Company versus E-Scat. And there have been many other cases also in this particular regard. So please remember that any restraint which is operational after termination of employment shall never be valid. Because the logic given is that how can an employer has any rights against an employee who has ceased to be in his employment? Now let me give you a few more examples which I have encountered in relation to my acquaintances. 3 chartered accountants working with a stockbroking firm. Now they decided to leave the organization. One of them had got a job at HDFC Bank. All the 3 had signed the service bonds to serve the stockbroking firm for 3 years, and it had been just 1 year when they received these lucrative offers. So one of them who got an offer from HDFC Bank spoke with the bank people that he was under a service bond, and will it be okay if he sends an email resigning from that position? So will he be allowed to join the HDFC Bank? HDFC Bank refused. HDFC Bank said, sorry, we have employed you on the basis of your experience with that stockbroking firm in the internal audit department. Therefore, we shall require the employer's experience certificate. The employer will not give the experience certificate, will not give the termination letter unless the bond amount had been paid. So he had to pay the bond amount to take up the job with the HDFC Bank. The two others, they jumped the bonds and took up the employments in Bombay, now Mumbai. But then the stockbroking firm knew that if they filed the suit in the court of law, probably they will lose the case because there had not been much of amount and time spent in training these employees for the respective jobs. So he was aware of it. Therefore, what he did, and that is a danger, with certain employers, he filed criminal suits against these two employees in terms of teaming and lagging, that they had done financial frauds, used the company's money, and they did pay it back after some time, but resulting in the loss of interest to the employer and so on. So they were booked for frauds and cases were filed against them. They had to finally, because they had to make rounds of the Delhi courts repeatedly, so they had to finally settle down by paying the bond amount. So although legally the employer would not have been in a position to claim the bond amount in these cases, but it is through these malpractices that they coerce the employees to pay the amount. However, contrasted with that HDFC Bank case, one of my students, she was working with a law firm, rather an accounting firm, a very popular accounting firm, a multinational accounting firm. And she got an offer from ICICI Bank. Now, when she spoke with her employer, the employer said that we shall relieve you provided you finish the already given assignment to you. And that assignment was to take around 3 months, and ICICI Bank was not prepared to wait for 3 months for her joining. But ICICI Bank presented an alternative that we have no objection, that if you send an email resigning from that job, we shall accept you. So it was unlike the HDFC Bank, who had refused this kind of arrangement. So she sent an email resigning from the job so that she was not holding 2 jobs simultaneously, and joined ICICI Bank at a much better position. So these are some of the examples. I'll give you one more example. These service bonds are not only got signed at the time of taking up the employment, but many a times, also at the time of offering the promotion. I had a tenant who was a chartered accountant. He was working with a company, and the company gave him a very good raise, promoted him. At the same time, he was made to sign a service bond to serve the company for at least 5 years thereafter in that particular position. The luck would have it. A week later, he received an offer for a job carrying double the salary which he was currently drawing. He came to me, sought my opinion that what should I do? I said, since it has been only 1 week, I don't think this bond period will stand the testimony at the court. The court is going to strike it down in any case. So you may, if you so like, you may well join the new company. I said, you will keep on receiving threats, even the lawyer's notices, but please don't bother. The company will probably not file a suit ever because they are likely to lose the case, and they will not like that, like you, many other, they also leave the organization. So they will not take the chances of losing the case. They will not file the case. That is exactly how it happened. And he did receive the notices from the lawyers threatening him that if he does not join back, a suit will be filed against him, and so on and so forth. But no case was filed, and he comfortably could work with the other company. So these are some of the examples through which you can form an idea that what kind of service bonds they shall be upheld as valid. But the major problem with the people taking up a job is that they are made to sign on the dotted lines. They are highly excited that they have received an offer for a job. So the HR department calls them, places a few papers before them to be signed, including the service bond in some cases. They are hardly given any time to go through the terms and conditions of the service bond, what to talk about, consulting anybody on that particular subject. But these are the problems associated with taking up a job. In any case, to what extent this service bond is going to be upheld as valid, I have narrated quite a few instances. Now take is yours. Thank you very much for watching me. Wait for the next video.